Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'd like to call to order the Weymouth School Committee Budget Subcommittee for May 6, 2026. Chair Nardone could not be here tonight. We all send our condolences to the Tanner and Nardone family for the loss of their mother, Josephine Tanner. Hope to see them next week and I'm all well. We will start with contracts and procurement with a student transportation update.
Great, thank you, Chair. The update tonight is a brief update. We will keep agenda item on, but for tonight, we're still going through the process. As we talked about prior meetings, an IFB public opening occurred on April 15th. There was an apparent responsive low bidder. We're going through the due diligence phase right now. We're still on track for a notice of award by May 13th. And that's all I have for an update this evening. I appreciate our guests coming tonight, so I don't know if you want to open up to.
Sure. Before I open it up to the public, is there any committee questions related to the student transportation update? I will open it up to the public for anybody to comment or come up to the microphone. The student transportation update.
Hi, everyone. Again, we're sorry. Hi, good evening. My name is Sue Labossiere, as you've probably heard me say several times over the last week. I work for First Student as the driver of Weymouth Bus 7. And as you are aware, we, the school bus drivers, who we're all here today, have been attending the meetings for the last few weeks due to our concern about the bid for the school bus contract. When I spoke last week, I pointed out several factors that may have caused the NRT bid to come in significantly lower than the First Student bid. The pricing used by NRT was most likely based on a 5-hour day to run a route, when in reality, it takes more than 6 hours per day to run our routes. And the cost of the late buses was most likely not included because there was no separate line item for it. So the bid submitted by NRT is unrealistically low, and they would most likely become a financial problem to the town of Weymouth. It was stated by Brian Smith last week at the last budget meeting that the committee will vote to award the contract to the lowest responsible bidder. And that's the important word, responsible. A responsible bid means the company submitting the proposal has a proven track record of success and the financial resources needed to properly run the contract to ensure success. Submitting a financially deficient bid demonstrates that NRT is not a responsible bidder. Company submitting an unrealistically low bid is not being responsible. A company with a poor performance track record due to constant staffing shortages, leaving dozens of children without a way to get to school each day, is not being responsible. As I mentioned last week, most of the First Student Weymouth drivers will not stay and work for NRT. So how will they address hiring a large number of new drivers? The city of Framingham terminated the NRT contract in 2023 due to constant driver shortages. They had shortages of more than 20 drivers every day in the entire school year. Even when NRT offered sign-on bonuses and higher pay, they were unable to attract people to come work for them. Google NRT online, and you will find many other cities and towns experiencing similar situations with staffing shortages and service delays. So as the date towards awarding the contract gets closer, we ask you to carefully scrutinize the reputation and track record of NRT. They are not and should not be considered a responsible bidder. The children and families in the town of Weymouth deserve much better than NRT. First Student has been and will continue to be the most reliable and responsible choice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the school committee. My name is Michelle Makrovich. I'm a Teamsters representative of Teamsters Local 653. Thank you again for having all of us. This is the third time we've come before you, and our message remains the same. The town of Weymouth needs to protect their drivers, and they certainly can do so. You can make the right decision that will directly affect the safety of our children, the stability of our community, and the livelihoods of the men and women who have safely transported Weymouth students for years. For the past few weeks, not only have you heard concerns from me, but also from bus drivers, parents, teachers, nurses, and many community members from emails, phone calls, and these meetings. They are all standing behind and supporting the drivers. They have said clearly they do not want to lose the first person their child sees in the morning and the last person they see after school. These drivers are a part of the fabric of this community. Now let's talk about those drivers, the people who actually make this system work. Driving a school bus is not easy. It's a 40-foot metal vehicle filled with 60 to 70 students who are not quiet, they're not still, and they are not predictable. Many people try this job and quickly realize it's not for them. It takes skill, patience, rigorous training, good judgment, and experience. And the current roster of Weymouth drivers we have now love what they do. They are seasoned and established. They know the roads, they know the neighborhoods, they know the routines, they know the children and the families. I want to be clear. I am not here for First Student. I am not here for NRT. I am here for the drivers, the people who have been a part of this community and Weymouth school system for decades, who need to plan for their future. These drivers currently have a Teamsters contract, a contract you can keep intact and demand that any new company would need to adopt in order to protect these drivers. That contract gives them a livable wage, healthcare options, retirement funding, benefits, guarantees, and job protections. They are not asking for more than what is in their current contract. They're only asking not to lose what they already have, which is maintaining standards. Every other school employee who works with Weymouth's children's, teachers, traffic supervisors, paraprofessionals, custodians, cafeteria workers, maintenance, all have contracts that protect them. Why should the school bus drivers have this security taken away from them? All they have earned through years of work and dedication gone. And if the awarded bidder does not honor their contract, these drivers have already let you know they will not drive for Weymouth unless their protections are guaranteed. And if they leave, Weymouth schools will be left scrambling for drivers in the middle of a nationwide driver shortage. This is not a smooth transition. This is a safety risk. And where is a new company going to find dozens of drivers with the same level of commitment and care without a contract? Here's a critical point. NRT has acknowledged receiving everything they need to honor these drivers' contracts. They have received a petition signed by the drivers, a full copy of the Teamsters contract, a memorandum to sign stating NRT will honor their contract. They have all of it, and NRT has not signed. That speaks volumes. Again, I have copies right here now that NRT can sign and show good faith to the Weymouth drivers that they will accept their Teamsters contract. As I have stated before, the Weymouth School Committee also has the opportunity right now to stand up to the drivers. As part of the award process, you can require NRT to honor the current Teamsters contract so these drivers can continue doing the job they have dedicated years of their lives to doing safely and professionally. So if there is a change in transportation companies, it can be done smoothly. I urge you again to do what is right. Ensure that the decision you make is based on a full, accurate, and fair understanding of what this job truly requires and needs. And if you make a commitment with NRT, demand NRT also makes a commitment to the drivers. Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to public comment on student transportation? Seeing no.
Chair, just so thank you to everyone who came tonight. I also want to thank, in the back here is Faith Holland. She's our transportation manager. Thank you to Faith for attending tonight and all.
Everybody here. We are listening to you and we appreciate you coming here tonight. Moving on, were there any prior meeting questions and answers?
I don't think so, right, Alyssa?
To revisit? So we will move on to grants and gifts.
And we'll skip over that.
Skipping over that.
Nothing there.
Audits and reports.
Nothing there.
Moving on to fiscal year 27 budget planning.
Thank you. So our new budget book is available for the public and online and hard copy, so the committee, council, administrators. It's a great expression of our budget, tells the story. But I do just want to take a moment to thank the Wildcat Creative Club, which is our CTE graphic design program at the high school, who is run by Tom Fratellillo. This book, in all its beauty, is produced at the high school. So a lot of districts will pay a lot of money to outsource this, to have consultants come in and prepare this, but this is our work that we do here that is expressed through this book that is printed by the high school students. I just wanted to give them a shout out.
That's amazing.
So we're going to jump in first to our fee cycle review. I'll bring up on the screen here the agenda. And we're just going to take a couple things out of order. First, like the back to the actual fees. First, we're going to do some of the rates that we pay our workers. The first one is ESY. So the recommendation for this year, so this will be on July 1st, is to adjust the teacher tutor rate, the nurse rate, and related services rates from, I believe it was $38.75 an hour to $40 an hour. The other rates we're recommending to maintain, as you may be aware, within the Unit D contract we have with our ESPs, they get their contractual rate during the summer. These rates would be for folks that don't work for Weymouth Public Schools coming to work for us. So we want to maintain these rates, but bump up the teacher, nurse, and related services rate. So happy to, and Meg and Christy are here too if you have any questions related to ESY rates for us.
Related, kind of unrelated. How has this increased the amount of staff that we are taking from Weymouth Public Schools?
We've had a tremendous amount of applicants for, we're probably gonna have more applicants than we actually have positions for. So we've had a lot of internal candidates for all of our positions. Teachers, filling teacher positions has been one area that's still a challenge for us, but we have staff that work in the programs that want to work as teachers.
And is this pretty industry standard for rates?
It's pretty comparable.
Yeah.
Some districts go by their daily rate. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions?
How many teachers do we usually have? Like how many are coming over the summer? Is it like one for each grade or?
So it's one for each of our district-wide programs.
Okay.
And it just depends. Sometimes if not as many students are attending over the summer that we have during the school year, you might have some combined classes. So it might be a little bit smaller number, but it's pretty consistent with our district-wide programs that we have over the school year. We have those same programs running during the summer. And then we also have some students that just get tutoring services over the summer. So we would have teachers. There's maybe about 8 teachers that tutor over the summer as well for our special education programs.
Is it 5 days a week?
It's 4 days.
4 days. Okay.
And there's also Q5, so that's a high school
Right.
summer.
Yeah.
So that's credit recovery over the summer. There's, I think, 4 teachers in that. We have a Title IV program still running under Bryn Cooper that has 1 or 2 teachers there supporting some of our alternative pathways over the summer. And then we have an EL funded through Title III program that runs through the summer as well. I think there's probably 3 or 4 teachers with that as well.
And that's 4 days a week.
Or they're all pretty
4
much
days.
4 days a week. And then there's one of the special education programs lasts a little bit longer.
Yeah, so the majority of the programs are 4 weeks and our CEP programs run 6 weeks,
4 hours a day.
4 hours a day, 4 days a week.
Thank you.
Okay, so I know that ESY stands for Extended School Year. I mean, I'm very naive with what this program is and what it means for our students. So if you could just kind of like break it down for me,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
So students qualify for extended school year to prevent substantial regression in their skills. So it's really not intended for our students to learn new skills over the summer. It's just to help maintain those skills so there's no substantial regression of skills when they return to school in September. So for some students, that's academics. For other students, it might be for social emotional or behavioral or just their ability to engage in routines. So it's really individualized for each student what services they need over the summer, but that's the overall intent of it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? Moving on, Mr. Smith.
Substitute rates. We can look at our substitute rates. And as you'll see with our fees too, we do comparable analysis of comps, other districts, what they pay. We look at what the cost impact is to the budget when we make any adjustments. So we have several here. Our pre-assigned building sub and our teacher rate will go from $113.25 a day to $115 a day. Feel that helps us up in as we look at comparable rates around the area. You try to look at geographical comps when it comes to substitutes because that's the pools you're pulling from. Our EFP rate would go from $97.25 to $100 per day. Our nurse would go from $38.50 to $40 per day. Our LPM would go from $32.25 to $35 a day. Our traffic supers would maintain, as well as our CDL subs. Our van drivers would go from $19.50 to $20 an hour. Our retired teacher would maintain, van driver would maintain at $24. And then our van monitor and cafeteria aides would bump up to $17.50. Our long-term sub schedule has changed slightly. So up until it's after day 60, it refers to the teacher's contract. So this is managed through negotiations. Up until day 60, we manage through this document here. So we've increased from $134.25 to $150 a day for days 1 through 30 that in LTS. So basically, if a teacher goes out long-term during the year, you want consistency in the same educator in the classroom. So if someone's going out for, half the year, days 1 through 30 would be at this 150 rate, and then 31 through 60 would jump from 161.25 to 175 per day. And those are our proposed rates for substitutes beginning on 9/1/2026.
Any questions from the committee? Go ahead, Cindy.
Are these based on 6 hours?
Day rate 6, I think 6.25, 6.5, depending on the school. But it's really the bell to bell day, not the beyond the day.
What currently does the van monitor and the cafeteria aide make right now?
Sorry, Kelly.
I'm sorry. Can you just repeat, what does the van monitor and the cafeteria aide make right now?
Oh, sorry. It is, I do have that right here. Currently, I missed it. Apologies. Currently 16 for the fan monitor goes to 17.50.
Okay.
And cafeteria aide is at 17, goes to 17.50. So we're trying to keep consistent among those two groups.
And just the last one, I'm sorry, I think I might have missed it. What is a teacher making per day? All right.
The first one or the second?
The second one.
That's teacher.
113.25 per day to 115 per day.
Thank you.
And there's probably a question folks have is what's the difference between the first and the second line? The first line is staff that they're in the building all year as a pre-assigned building sub. So they're full-time employees that they have benefits, but that's the rate they get. Usually what we see is it might be a new educator, like someone young out of college is trying to get into a district. So they start here, they build a relationship with the building. It's a good audition. Whereas the second line is truly like that daily sub that people sign up for, and they might jump around different buildings and they might jump between different towns.
So pre-assigned would be like a float, like,
Correct.
and a teacher would be like, we need somebody ASAP.
Yep. Yep. Correct.
Any other questions from the committee? Moving on to
The third, we're proposing no changes. I apologize for the small print, but I guess the long and the short of it is no changes being proposed by the athletic director for these rates.
And she was gonna speak a little bit more about that at athletic sub.
So at the athletic subcommittee, she could answer any additional
Okay.
questions, and we just felt that that meeting next week rather than have her come to.
Right. Right.
Okay, now on to the proposed rates. So as we've discussed, and we'll get to at the end, we look at rates every year. Regardless, we look at the cost of the programs that they fund. We look at comparable districts to see what they're charging for fees. And then we look at the impact of families for increases. This year is unique because the ability for the operating budget to supplement these programs has been diminished due to what our operating budget projection is for next year. So part of our funding plan through the mayor's office was to realize some increases in fees as revenue to offset the decrease in the operating budget, because those funds we can no longer utilize certain funds out of the operating budget to supplement the programs, whether it be busing or athletics. That number we came in at was roughly 100,000. I'll have more specifics of that number as we go through this. But again, we do fee analysis every year. We look at increasing fees based on the programs they support, based on comparable districts, and based on the impact of what the increase may be. So we try to balance all those. We don't want to go up too high that makes it unrealistic or prices us out of the market. And we want to make sure at least cover our costs, if not plus a little to put into a fund balance, which I can talk about specifically as we go through. So athletics is the first one. We are proposing 10% increase in athletics for all sports, with the exception of hockey. We are seeing across the state an increase in the costs to run these rinks. For Weymouth specifically, the fee looks like it'll be likely increasing the hourly rate that the rink charges, $250 to $325 an hour. Still better than a lot of other areas where you see anywhere from $400 to $450. But the arrangement the town has with DCR, the town just can't give breaks to certain departments or certain customers. So we have to pay the rate that's set. The mayor's office is talking with DCR. There's a 10-year agreement in place with DCR. So the mayor's office is speaking with them about that. But for us, we do have to prepare for next year. And so that's where the 20% increase is for hockey. So 10% for all sports, 20% for hockey.
And I think you and I had discussed this, the rink cost has increased 30%. So just even to run the rink.
Right. So
Increasing.
utilities are big, labor and utilities. Utilities is the biggest driver by far. So we've passed on some of that to the fee. We're able to absorb some of that increase. If you think about things we've been doing with like the banner program, Kristen's athletics budget, we've gone through it, and we don't have to do the full 30% increase for hockey, so we're doing a 20% increase. And then that rolls down to our family cap. So basically, as a result, the family cap, we're proposing an increase of what results in $20 per season. So a family cap. So if a family has multiple children in the high school participating in multiple sports, the cap was $1,200 a year. That cap is now $1,260 per year.
Any questions?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we kind of go each section. Is that okay?
Yeah. Is there any questions from the committee on that first section?
Oh, and I'm sorry, and I missed, as you can see, there's also a new middle school rate. We've talked about middle school sports for several years now. There was ARPA funding that funded the first couple of years through the town. That funding's gone now. So in talking with the athletic director and Principal Jones, we came up with a $50 cost.
Competitive only, not intramural.
Correct.
And that's $50 per sport that they might play?
Yeah.
For the year.
Or for the year?
For this, it's for the sport.
Oh, for the sports.
Yeah, when we get down to activities.
Activities, it's for the
Yeah.
year, sorry,
So that's for the,
per sport.
Yeah, just for sport. So we'll clarify when we get down to activities,
Okay.
but for the competitive sports, because there's transportation involved, officials, there is a cost of $50 per student per sport.
Chair, if I may, can I
Go ahead,
just ask a question? So I noticed on the unified sports, it was $50. It's going to go up to $55. So one of my questions that I had written down prior to this meeting, which you've already kind of answered, was what factors contributed to the proposed fees? Because when we look further down, I'll give an example, like theater has never had a fee and it's $50. So I'm just wondering, like, when you look at this, are you looking at like unified sports, I'm assuming doesn't run all year. Am I wrong?
No, they do.
You do all year? Okay, because that's what I
They
just,
split it up between basketball and then track and field, but it's one.
so that $55 will cover both. It won't be like they're paying 55 for the basketball and then paying for, I just want some.
That's a question we'll have to clarify. I don't know.
Because it is typically the same group that does both.
Yeah, so the question is that 50, I believe it's per season, I believe it's per season, so 50 in the fall, 50 in the spring, but we'll have to verify that. And so the increase would be to 55. And I guess jumping ahead, I'll jump ahead just to answer.
Sorry.
No, I'll jump ahead just to answer your question.
It's just one thing that I picked out that I saw a difference and I was like, with equity, I was just wondering like, how many times is this meeting? And then how much money does it cost for just things like maintenance or staff salaries? Like, and I know that you probably look at, I trust that you look at all of that, but I'm new, so I just want to know, like.
Yeah, and like you were saying, Kelly, too, just right off the bat, the staff salaries.
Yeah.
So they increase every year, activities, advisors, but it's also, they do travel.
Yes.
So there's a little bit of transportation in there too, yeah.
And the increase doesn't necessarily cover the cost of the
Yeah.
programs increasing.
It's actually covering less of a loss, like, so it's less of a loss for us really is what it is.
As we supplement operating. And I'll just for a moment jump down to clubs and activities. That's a new rate. However, we budgeted operating the full cost of student activities and clubs. So now what we're saying is we can't sustain in the operating budget the full cost. So as we're asking to introduce a rate, but I'll talk specifically about that when we get down to that section.
Okay.
But I'm pretty confident that and we'll clarify for next meeting because you guys would probably likely vote this.
Yeah.
We'll clarify for next meeting if that unified is per season or per year. I believe it's per season.
Okay, thank you.
And the theater piece just we looked at it equitably and they did never pay and they do travel all.
Theater mom, so I'm not trying to like, on that.
I am too, and I have
Looking at that, like,
problem paying because I know it was not a,
your fault. Yeah.
and I think equity wise, there is families that are able to pay that want to help out too, All right, jump.
Sorry, thank you.
Anybody else?
To the chair.
Diane?
Yes. You can go whatever direction you want.
I go
Pay rider?
pay rider? Yeah.
Yes. So next is pay rider. We typically see increases here. Just to put it in context, the operating budget. So what we typically yield in pay rider fees is roughly $200,000 to $250,000 a year. Where the current contract is 10 times that, right? So it's just an example of the fees don't ever completely cover, sometimes even touch the full cost of a program, but we charge fees too. So we could never increase, if we increase to cover the full cost, you'd be talking, thousands of dollars. So that's an example of us balancing what we increase the cost for the fee as compared to what we budget. Having said that, we looked at also at comparable districts and even with a 20% increase, we're at $318 per rider, which is below most districts we looked at. So I think we're doing a good job here in Weymouth of utilizing operating budget to supplement a program to lessen the burden of the cost on the families. So the rate would go from $265 to $318. Second child, if you have one, and then similar to the athletics, there's a family cap. So for the third child and beyond, there would be a cap in place for pay rider.
And pay riders have the option for payment arrangements, right?
So all first and foremost, anyone who's pre-reduced or at direct certification doesn't pay a fee or it's a reduced fee. And then per school committee policy, all the principals have the ability and the authority to work with families on payment plans.
Okay.
And
There's
then
no set amount though. It's basically
simple form.
Okay.
There's a simple form that we introduced a couple of years ago that families can fill out to meet with the principal. It's obviously it's discreet private between the principal and the family on payment plans. And in addition, we have programs out there, like the banner program at the high school has helped with, and the Dreamcatcher race has helped with athletics and funding to support families that need it.
Okay. Any other questions for pay rider? Moving on to WHS childcare.
WHS childcare, different than our early childcare program here. This is part of the CT program, mostly utilized by staff. And it's a childcare program that takes place at the high school. You'll see a consistent throughout this. When we can, we try to do it more than 10% this year for our analysis. So we, like athletics, we're proposing a 10% increase in the rates for childcare at the high school. And you can see the difference. There's infant, toddler, and preschool rates.
Is that for a week?
I think it's every day.
Every day?
Yeah, it's every school day.
Every school day, yeah.
So the same hours that they're in for school?
Roughly, I think it's like an hour.
From the high school. To
Okay.
Yeah. I want to say it's an 8-hour day.
Okay.
It's a longer day. And like I mentioned, the program is utilized, I think exclusively by our staff, but not just the high school staff. There's staff from Chapman and primary schools that utilize the program. It's a great benefit. If you look at the cost,
That's, I worked here when I
have a waiting
was
list.
doing.
they have a waiting list.
Waiting list every year, so, yeah.
Any questions from the committee? Go ahead.
Do you ever have, it says staff rates, do you ever have do you have a separate number for if it's not a staff rate, or is it typically just always
It's
staff?
typically, as long as I can remember, it's.
Yeah,
Okay,
the waiting list is pretty.
I would imagine
Yeah.
so.
And we always service our staff first. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on to CT postgrad.
Yes, so this is for, and again, I don't think we've had, I think one in the last 10 years, I believe, someone who tuitions in to CT, but again, we have so much, the demand is so high, we don't have any slots available, so I don't think we need to spend much time on this one. We just, at least mentioned, we're doing blanket increase, 10%, so that's will increase the CTE rate by 10%. But again, anyone in the CTE program now, it's our students, they're not paying.
So there's no spots for a postgrad if they wanted to.
No,
Wow.
I want to say 2017 is the last time we had someone.
I remember when I went to Blue Hills, there was always like at least 3 or 4 postgrads.
And now you see with the lottery, there's just no space. Yeah.
Evening high school.
Evening high school, we're looking closely at this with Principal Monahan, evening high school and Q5, which I think we'll get to. So this is an example, we're trying to balance the increase with the cost of, what we charge someone. So we're doing 10%. We should probably increasing more based on the fact that the high school does have supplement the evening high school revolving fund, same with Q5, which we'll get into. But Principal Monahan's looking at other ways we can be creative to make that fund balance. So for now, we're just proposing a 10% increase when it should probably be higher.
Okay. Questions? Clubs and activities?
So clubs and activities, so we just touched on, we'll continue to talk through here. Instrument, that's going up $3. Photography, so these are high school rates that are introduced, they're existing, sorry. AP exams, which I believe is a set rate.
Who sets it?
College board.
College board.
Okay.
But the two below there on that section is what we just talked about. These are new, they're not new programs, but they're new rates that we will charge potentially. So it's $50 for club activities and $50 for theater. And as the superintendent mentioned, whether you do one club, it's kind of that college model. Whether you do one club or 10 clubs, you're just going to get assessed $50 for the year.
Basically just like an additional fee.
It's $50 per student, basically.
Per student per year. And however many clubs and activities you
Wanna do.
participate in. Again, it's just to help, talking with Principal Monahan, Principal Jones. It's really to help, they budget for these in the operating budget, but it helps us to free up dollars to do other things within our operating budget by charging this fee.
And it continues to support our after-school activities because we don't, right now they're flourishing, kids are after school, and we don't want to start to minimize the
Right.
availability of the after-school activities as well.
And Brian, the question I had for you for theater, that included festival season as well.
Yes.
So it's 50 for the year.
Through the year, yeah, so.
Any questions?
Now, if they needed it, would they be able to use Dreamcatcher? Is that something that if they applied for, would they be able to do Dreamcatcher for that?
I don't know. I believe that's specific to athletics.
Yeah,
Athletics?
I do, yeah,
But it's something we could definitely
Yeah,
look at.
look
but
at.
the banner program might be something.
Something to, yeah, okay,
Theater has such a great boosters too.
I know.
Yeah.
They're just amazing.
Incredible, yeah.
And that's a lot of when parents are struggling with athletics or payment, sometimes the boosters support.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the boosters will pay for a couple of athletic.
Right.
Class dues?
So just again, across the board, 10% increase on class dues. I don't think we've increased them in a while, Liz.
No, we haven't.
Each year?
Say that again.
Each year that they get paid?
We hope.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of times they'll get to the senior year, and I think that's what we're trying to support families along the way so that when they get to the senior year, there's not a huge price tag sitting over them. So what you'll see a lot of times is if you want to go to homecoming, you have to have some community service done and some fees paid. So we try to have some things along the way to incentivize our families to keep up.
Makes sense. Questions from the committee?
Why the big jump from sophomore to junior and then juniors?
The proms. Yeah.
The cruise, all the
Yeah, the
activities.
senior activities
Yearbook.
are,
Way more activity.
yeah, but even just the junior prom and
Yeah.
getting ready for the senior prom.
Okay.
And then they usually sometimes have to pay a fee, depending on the fundraising that happens in their years. Like sometimes the prom is $10, sometimes it's $40. It depends where it is. It depends on how much the fundraise.
Gotcha. Moving on to WEC, Adams, EEC.
Thank you. And I see Principal Perez is here. Mara, would you mind jumping up just in case questions pop up?
What's the spotlight?
So this is,
Your spotlight.
so again, this is a program where we're balancing the increase in the cost to run the program with what we charge families, what our comparable districts are. So Maura, Alyssa and I spend a lot of time during the year talking about the rates. So for this year, for next year, we're proposing a 5%, which really just covers the increase in the cost of the program itself, the staffing. It's not any additional amount. So we're comfortable financially with that 5%. We spoke with Maura, she's communicating with families, but if anyone has questions, that's why I asked Maura to come up too. So thank you, Maura, for being here. And if anything you want to add to that, Maura? Sorry.
We want to talk about registration fee, or do you want to put that off to the fall?
So we could, yeah, so part of, and it wouldn't necessarily be an additional fee, it would be part of, the registration fee would roll into their tuition payment, right?
No, so when they come in to register, they pay $50. So one of the things we've noticed, many other private and public schools have a $100 registration fee. And I think just by increasing it, it's a little bit more money where they don't. We typically have about 30 families every summer between when we start in February and the end of the summer that unenroll. And I think just having a little bit of a higher fee will make them think about it because it's a lot of work to go through our wait list and 30 more families to come in.
Does that go towards their first tuition payment though?
It does not.
Okay, so
Very separate. And we put it directly towards school supplies for kids.
okay, so that was my mistake. So because it's an additional cost, it wouldn't, if it doesn't go towards their tuition.
Yeah.
Right, we'll add that. So we're gonna add $100. Thank you for the recommendation. We're gonna add for next time, you'll see $100 registration.
50, right?
It's 50 right now. We're looking to increase it to 100
Okay.
for next year.
So what happens if you have those 30, you just go to the wait list?
Yeah, it's typically 30 to 35. You know, many families may be on the fence. Some of them may be looking for a longer day if they can't get into Champions. Some families move.
Depending upon tuition, some people may say, oh, it's a little tight. There's all sorts of reasons, but I just think having a little bit of a higher fee really makes them think about it because it is a lot of work to kind of,
Yes.
redo the class list, get someone else to come in. Sometimes we're calling a few people and we try to take them in order. So it's a little bit challenging.
Yeah,
So,
makes sense. Any questions for Maura? Thanks, Maura.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We can skip over school lunch. Actually, I'll clarify. So with school lunch, obviously it's free. First breakfast, first meal for anyone. If a second meal, these charges apply. The adult staff, the National School Lunch Program does not apply to the adult staff lunches, so there's still a cost there, but we're not proposing to increase that because Liz, our food service director, said what we charge now is within the National School Lunch Program mandate.
Okay. Five?
Q5, 15%. Again, Principal Monahan's looking at that program closely. Maybe some changes and tweaks to it can help, but for now, we're just recommending a 15% to keep up with the increasing costs.
Is Q5 a full day too?
No, it's,
Subjects specific?
it's, class actually even specific online, but there's teachers here to support them through the online process. And then it's, as they finish, they finish. So if you're kind of moving quickly through, you might not be here for the entire 4 weeks.
So what is that?
The fee, the cost. So,
What is it?
so there's fees associated with the online
Gotcha.
subscription, and then there's fees for the teachers that are here supporting them.
Okay.
So we have a teacher in, I think, humanities, math, science, and then special education here at all times during it. So that's where that would come. And then there's a coordinator for it.
Okay.
Besides, I'll have to look into that, but there's at least 3 teachers here plus the coordinator.
Thank you. Parking, that's kind of self-explanatory.
Yep, 10% parking stickers, still good deal compared to other districts.
Okay.
No increase. We've introduced these rates and increased them in the past, giving what the cost versus what we charge families. We're maintaining these rates. We've also, as Assistant Soup Frat has outlined, just philosophically, we've made some changes to the Chromebook program for next year that we've already implemented this year. As a result, we will see a likely decrease in loss and breakage.
I shared with Brian that we went through a issue with a Chromebook and it was like seamless. It was amazing.
That's great to hear. I'll let Brett know.
Hall rental.
Hall rental, again, across the board, 10%. We try to work with our renters and just utility costs increase, contractual increases of employees. We are trying to support our local youth sports leagues, and we do give them a what we feel is a very great for our buildings compared to going to maybe a facility in Hanover. So those, you can see those rates outlined there, and then we do partner with Steve Riley for Park and Rec and Donnie Norton have an auditorium. There's MOAs in place for those areas, so we make sure that our custodial costs at least are covered for those spaces. So we, through Louise, we bill interdepartmental billing for our staff that are on those fields and in the building, in the auditorium space that Donnie manages.
This always confuses me. So if an outside for-profit comes in and rents the high school's auditorium, they're writing the check to the town or are they writing the check to us?
So right now, if it's the high school, us directly.
Okay. And that goes into the revolving account.
Our building use revolving.
And which ones do not come?
Planetarium does as well. Right now, it's Chapman Auditorium.
Okay.
Because that space is so new, and the amount of investment in technology and equipment. Donnie does a great job of maintaining that space. So he's not only programming it with rentals, but he's also maintaining the space, making sure the equipment, everything's working. He has revolving funds, so if something is needed for that space, he can access that. So right now, the high school, the Chapman Auditorium, and then the other area that's ours is the high school athletic field. So again, Park and Rec, we rent it out.
Yeah.
But also Park and Rec rents it out. When Park and Rec rents it out, it's our guys on the field, so we charge for our guys. So Steve pays that. Similarly, we pay Park and Rec for the use of the pool and the rink. Yeah.
Makes sense. So, but we don't see basically what we bring in for those spaces.
We can see, we can see it.
Okay.
It's just not in a school account.
Okay.
It's in a town account.
Okay.
Did you have questions? Yeah, like for field day, when Chapman goes to.
Level of Legion.
Yeah, do we pay,
No.
no,
It's really the auditorium that,
Yeah.
The Chapman.
Chapman Auditorium
Chapman.
is booked every weekend
Yeah.
all summer.
Yeah,
But
but
where is the high school auditorium on here? Is that just the standard per hour?
yes.
That's the auditorium, the top, the $66
Yes.
and the 132. Okay, those auditorium.
You guys.
And then can I make one more question? So the Mullen Field,
Mhm.
does that money go towards when they rent it? Does it go does that go towards the track? Is
I have an update.
Does not.
okay,
I have an we talked about this. I have an update for you.
okay,
Does not.
Yeah.
Just strictly for the field.
because that would be, is the field capital or not?
Yes,
Okay.
Brian and I touched base. I
Okay,
can update you afterwards.
thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions? Nope.
The last one there, we are working diligently on, so we have the charging stations at Adams, Pingree, the high school, and Chapman. Right now, there's several different platforms across the town. We're trying to get on one platform. One piece of this is we're in the process of working with the town, closing out the Chapman project, if you can believe it, that is still going on in terms of, so Alyssa's side job is doing that work with MSBA to help close out that project completely. We will then need to get on a standard platform across the town for charging stations. When that happens, the committee has already voted $1.50 per kilowatt hour. We're recommending just the cost of everything right now, increasing to $1.75 per kilowatt hour. But our goal is, depending on when this work is done, related to Chapman, so it'd be for next fiscal to get a standard platform across the entire town.
So what they use at town hall is different than what we use.
Yeah, it was, the charging stations were introduced over a number of years using grant funds. Part of the stipulation of the grant funds is that it was public access to the station, so we held off on charging.
Yep.
But now that time has passed, so we need to start charging to at least cover our costs for utilities.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Questions? That's it. Fiscal year 27 updates.
Yes, so before I turn over the superintendent and executive director for Rico, I just want to give an update. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I'm not done on fees.
Okay.
There's more.
We need a summary.
There's more.
Let's sum it up.
So to summarize, should the committee vote next time fees?
Yep.
And we'll come back with those couple questions. We did an analysis. We were projecting around $100,000. When you factor in the increases that we just discussed, and then you subtract out what the cost increases of the programs are, we're going to net roughly $96,000. So $95,911 to be exact. There's also a question of council when we go to the manager next week. So we might actually have something that shows a graphic that shows that, but just for the committee to be aware, part of our funding plan for next year is to utilize fee increases to fully fund the budget. And that would come with approximately $96,000 in fee increases.
Okay. Sounds very reasonable.
Yeah, thank you. All right, before I turn it over, my only update from the state level is the budget process from the governors to House Ways Means through the Senate. It looks like what is reflected in our budget of $160 per student is what we might see next year. for chapter 70, that increase of 160 per pupil, which is the highest nominal amount that we've seen since ed reform back in 93, 94. So last year was 150. We've seen years of 75. It's the minimum statutory amount of $30 per pupil. But it looks like for next year's budget, we can count on $160 per pupil. Of the 319 districts across the state, 275 will receive that minimum amount. And then some other districts will receive more than that. But in terms of what we've been talking about with funding our budget, those kind of unknowns below the line there that we've talked about, chapter 70 looks like it will come in at that 160 per pupil increase, which the town has committed to us.
Great, thank you.
Turn over to Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Kind of looking at the fee increase summary, 95,000, close to $96,000. Sometimes it doesn't seem like a lot in a budget that's almost 95 million. But as we are now, every single dollar counts as we try to plan for next year. So as we talk about fee increases, we understand how hard that is for our families right now, and we try so hard to stay away from fee increases. But if you look at this position, I mean, that number, that is a position, a teaching position in our schools. And where we are now, we're getting pretty close to the end of a budget season that's been, as we've said a million times, a very long and arduous budget cycle, very emotional, very exhausting for a lot of us. And this executive team, all of us here, parents involved as well, staff involved, we've had to make a lot of difficult decisions over the last, few months. And we're getting down to the time where we need to start to act on some of the decisions, because we are getting into the time where hiring is very critical for us. We've talked about how difficult it is to hire staff mid-year. It starts to get more difficult at the end of May into June. So we're trying to be really thoughtful. And then, like I said before, this isn't something we're just doing now. We've been thinking about these plans and options and everything throughout the year. As we start to kind of talk through some of the shifts that we're doing, of course, we would have loved to see a lot more money coming, to our schools this year, but it is a reality of where we are right now, and we're doing the best we can with what we have, and the whole town is doing that right now, which we appreciate. Some of the shifts that I just wanted to mention a couple of shifts, because you'll start to see them this week. As like I said, it's important that we start to post for some things. So one of the administrative positions at the central level was we had a coordinator for world languages and English learners. We are not going to move forward with that coordinator. We're going to transition or shift that position to our student services. One thing that we realize more and more every year is our students need more supports. And our job is to support our kids so they can access our curriculum. That's our job, right? And so when we see kids struggling that they can't access our curriculum, we need to address that. So we'll be seeing a posting for student services this week. That would be an administrative job. And I'm going to turn it over to Meg Valico in a second, but just to give a little bit of background, in a previous administration, there was kind of with a lot of that ESSER money, there was a thought process that all of our schools would have, or the pre-K and the elementaries, they'd all have assistant principals. And the goal was to have all the assistant principals be kind of the lead special education person in the building. What we're seeing as a team is that's not working. One, we lost 4 assistant principals in our elementary. So right there, and then that's not supporting the schools. And then the other piece was when you look at a true assistant principal in the building, they're usually very new to their administrative role. So to put something so difficult, special education law is very, very difficult to understand. I don't understand it some days. Our professionals understand it. So to ask a first-year administrator to come in and oversee special education, I don't think was really a long-term plan for our district. So that's kind of a little bit of our thought process as well. As we move to another administrator of student services. And I'll turn it over to Meg to talk a little bit about what that position will look like.
Thanks, Mel. So kind of paired with that and the shift in the structure of student services, we clearly are seeing like exponential growing needs of our students. We've been working really hard around inclusive programming, and I think one of those shifts has been our communication enhancement program and that partial inclusion strand, which is primarily at Hamilton, which is great, but again, it's a very quickly growing program. And what we're also seeing is that educators coming out of programs don't have the experience and the knowledge base to be able to, support our students to the best of their ability. And that's really on us to be able to provide more proactive training and mentorship for our new educators. We really want to be able to support them so that we can retain our staff. I think we all know that that's been an issue across the district this year. And our kids deserve better. So we really want to make sure that we have people in the buildings more. Having another administrator would allow us to divide our responsibilities up a little bit better so that we can be in buildings more consistently and be more proactive with that training and mentorship. Along with the teachers that we intend to hire as our programming is moving up to elementary. We've talked about float ABAs, BCBAs, all of those staff. Again, as we're hiring, we see the need to give more proactive training and support. We also know that the academic interventions, we look at the MCAS scores for special education students are not where they should be as well. So we have a lot of areas of priority that we want to work on, and that means we've got to be able to be there to support. Ultimately, our principals are there to support students on a daily basis, but I think our principals also need more training and support from district administrators to be able to do that effectively. That's not their area of expertise either. So that's really kind of the overall goal in providing that administrative to support so that our buildings then have the capacity to do it day to day.
Yeah, thank you, Meg. And one of the other positions that we're looking at, we talked about it here at the table, is trying to add a BCBA to the district. So reviewing some of our programs, reviewing some of the schools, we think an addition of a full-time BCBA will be added as well. And some of these shifts were made possible. We had some retirements this year that we really weren't expecting, a higher number than usual. So that's where we're able to do some shifts as well.
I have questions.
Yes, go ahead.
I do too.
So this new position, we have department heads of special education at the secondary level.
Yes.
So we have them at middle and high school.
Mhm.
What would the difference between this administrator position and those positions be? So like, what is really their job duties at that point?
So the building-based administrators at the middle and the high school, they still are doing all of those. They're overseeing all the special education staff. I think our vision is to be able to have more expertise. What I would really like to see is a special education teacher student in the classroom and knows what it's like to work with, say students with autism in our CEP every day and support that inclusion. So if we could better prioritize and based on skill sets of each administrator, kind of really working with those strands. I'll tell you, for example, on professional development day, we might be like doing, modules that we're sending off to different programs. Just even a special ed department head at the high school would be spread thin to be able to provide the training for all of the programs within the building. It's so individualized for each of the programs, and then also including special ed teachers. So I think having that district administrator that can oversee a whole strand of a program or take on kind of all of that instruction for our inclusion programming, whether it's reading instruction or working more on our math, it will allow for more consistency from each of the levels and also kind of keeping that expertise on that one area.
So basically the administrator would be the in-classroom support and the department heads at the secondary level would be kind of overseeing the process of IEPs, kind of compliance, that type of stuff.
Yeah, and they still would be handling the day-to-day. I think it's establishing the vision, making sure that our programs are all doing things with consistency, and then pushing that down to our administrators and our staff. And again, right now, I think it's just too hard for our building administrators to do all of that all at once, that they need somebody to come in and kind of set that vision, make sure everybody knows what the practices are, what the procedures are, and really train staff and administrators that are involved in that, so that eventually you can push that down to our building administrators to do that more effectively. But they need a lot more training and support in it right now too.
And from the parent perspective, is this somebody that's going to be interacting with parents, or would they still kind of go to the same people that we?
They could be interacting with parents. I think it would still go through that kind of chain of command,
yeah.
like we, to go first to the building administrator and then work through the district administrators. But hopefully we're interfacing with families much more frequently because it gives us more of that availability.
So is this considered a new position? So do we have a job description that is posting that, do we need to approve it as it's kind of a new position?
It's a coordinator position, so we have job descriptions of coordinators in the district. So
But they'll have certain criteria that they're gonna have to meet, like certifications and all that.
Should already have.
yeah,
Do
so we used to have like, we have a general coordinator like job description template, and then there's like curriculum coordinators, the special education coordinators, so yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't been filled.
Hasn't really
It's a new position in the budget, but it's a position that
We
exists.
have.
Okay,
coordinator.
I just, yeah,
But you'll see a job description and a job posting.
but, okay.
Can I just make sure that I'm understanding this correctly? So you're going to eliminate all assistant principals?
No, we don't, what I was
I'm
saying is,
confused.
yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Like my heart is like, don't.
So what I was saying is the plan was that we would have originally
Okay.
9 assistant principals, right? We already eliminated 4 of those,
Yeah.
right? So the plan of having an assistant principal in every building to oversee and support special education is already a problem for us. So the assistant principals that are there are remaining, but the reality is their job is being an assistant principal. They're learning, they're making relationships, they're overseeing student behaviors, parent calls, all of those things, right? So the thought process of that they would then also oversee and be boots on the ground for special education. If they are able to do that, that's amazing. But I think that was an expectation.
Realistic. It really.
Yeah, it really was unrealistic. So what I was just saying, without all of those, 9, we're down to 5 assistant principals. We already have a flaw in that system to begin with.
Okay, so like I know at Hamilton, I think I saw that their principal isn't coming back. Are you planning to replace that?
It's already been posted and they're in the process.
I just want to
Yeah.
make sure.
Yep. So any of the schools that have assistant principals, they'll remain having assistant principals.
Some of these programs really eyes on that. So I just.
100%. Yeah, we were just trying to explain why there's still a need. I mean, we're looking at our job postings now. We have a handful of postings for our CEP programs, and assuming they're new teachers, they just need so much support, and it really can't be Christy or Meg running around to all the buildings, trying to regularly support them.
Great, thank you for clarifying that.
Sorry about that.
Chrissy runs a lot.
Imagine the workload that the eliminated position was doing. Where is that going?
It's a great question, Cindy. It's a great question. So, Assistant Superintendent Fratellillo and myself will be overseeing like the EL. I always did as an assistant director a long time ago.
Yeah, you guys have
Oversee.
one more thing.
But it's something I have knowledge of. I think it's a great thing for Assistant Superintendent Fratellillo to start to understand. It's an amazing department that they really just need support. It's so well run. We just have to make sure they feel supported in the process, and that, we have a TFM coming up, which is a review of the department. So we'll go through that. But I'm really not that worried about our EL staff. They're amazing.
When is the TFM up for
I
ELA?
think it's this year.
TFM is tiered focus monitoring. right?
Yeah, I think they changed their name again.
But
IMR.
Yeah, yeah.
Our on-site.
Why not? Another acronym.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's IMR. They really refer to MLs now, multilingual learners. So but I try to say ELs because I feel like that's where everybody
We
still
know,
is. So,
Crystal there.
Ashley, did you have a question?
Yeah, it's basically Cindy's question. So you said we're not moving forward with world language. I guess, can you just describe the position that we're not moving forward with?
yeah, so Stephanie Margits, she oversaw world languages in the middle school and the high school. And also the EL teachers and the programming at the elementaries. So English learner programs at all elementaries.
Okay.
So who would oversee the Spanish teacher?
We probably would have a lead teachers at the buildings, yeah, potentially.
I feel like you have another question.
I got a lot of things going through my brain. I'm trying to process it all. First of all, I just want to say thank you for going through the fees like so thoroughly. And also thank you for this discussion about this big change. I think that that's a really important discussion to have ahead of time. I would like to see more discussions like that, like this, leading up to like big curriculum changes, like with French or with STEAM. Like just so that we can kind of wrap our heads around it, get everybody's input, and then we can come back and make like a decision where everybody feels heard and belonging. That way, we don't have anybody who's, I mean, you can't please everybody. We know that. And, you know, I've said to, you know, I don't envy the decisions that you have to make. But this is a great conversation and a good example of transparency and belonging and all that jazz. I guess I would just want like first of all, anything to support the kids. Like, you know, there's without a doubt, like needs are expanding and we need to make sure that we're supporting all of our students 100%. I guess I just want to make sure that moving forward, this is the best way to utilize our money and maximize the support we can give them. Does that make sense? Like I'm thinking of Allegra, who has made a comment multiple times that she wants to see student-facing positions and people who are really with kids day to day. So I'm not saying like administrative positions are sometimes boots on the ground. A lot of times they are. I guess I just want to make sure that if this is the route we're going, that we really get our bang for our buck as far as reaching the most students that we can reach. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, I think fortunately, I don't think we have to add staffing. I mean, we always have to add staffing. It's filling those needs, I think, has been the issue.
Yeah.
The proper candidates, you know?
Yeah, we didn't have a full staff in special education at all this year.
Yeah, I think people exiting was more of an issue than.
And I hear you, what you're saying, actually, and Allegra has mentioned that as well. And I completely agree, right? When you say boots on the ground is the most impact to the students. But if we have brand new teachers in there and they don't feel supported and they feel overwhelmed and they leave us, we're really not doing them or our students justice. And I think that's what we've been recognizing is we have to get ahead of these things. We have to be planful. We have to, bring in the educators so that they feel supported and that our kids and our families feel supported.
Yeah. Some of these students, again, are COVID kids too. And we have to really, and the teachers, some of the educators were learning not in a classroom. So I think supporting them any way we can, I think is what we need to do. You know, yeah, they were learning Zoom. Yeah.
In their college days. Yeah.
It probably even like student teaching was probably on Zoom. I don't even know how.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tough. Thank you very much. Thank you for the questions. Did you have something?
The only other, sorry.
Sorry, I feel like I had one more, but it might have gone out of my brain if it comes back.
While you're thinking of that, Ashley, I'm just gonna bring up the last thing I had was just the timeline. And before we go to public comment, so we have Superintendent and I are on Tuesday evening in front of Town Council's Budget Management Committee, and we'll be presenting. It's the same presentation you've seen here. And then we have about 33 questions that we're answering for the council through that presentation on Tuesday night. And then May 18th is the annual town meeting. June 15th, the council will hopefully vote the FY27 budget, and then we'll have our final meeting June 24th. As you're
Start the next year.
They already submitted the questions.
Yes, I can share the question.
Okay. Curious.
Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you for that, Marianne. I'll share the questions that we were asked.
They were pretty simple.
Yeah.
The last year.
What we'll do is Friday, we have to send the presentation and the responses to the questions back on Friday for Tuesday night's meeting. I'll make sure Kelly also posts for you guys.
Thank you. For some weekend reading, thanks.
Yeah. And so the only other thing is if when you open up a public comment, folks can hit the Q&A at the bottom of the screen here, just so folks are aware, whatever you type, the room's going to see here. So don't beat us up or anything. But yeah, well, you're right. But we did have one question that I will make sure we answer, Doug McLean, around the kilowatt hours. So the rate, Doug, was recommended to us through, as we were looking at platforms in the past, that rate was recommended to us. I'll just make sure that the wording on the fee schedule is correct, because it could be something wrong in the wording, but thank you for the question, Doug. We'll follow up on that one.
At this time, I'll open it up to public comment if you want to just come up to the mic and public comment.
I did remember my question.
Oh, wait. Hold it.
PD, oh, okay. So, I hear what you're saying about staff needing to be supportive. One thing that I hear a lot from regular ed teachers is just that the need for like professional development around special education for regular ed teachers. Does that make sense? Because a lot of kids are not diagnosed and they're sitting in the classrooms. So I guess my question to you, tying in with this whole supportive piece, is like, what do you have a plan for that, or is that something you're working on, like providing PD for gen ed teachers?
So I think that's another important piece of it. Like we were talking earlier, I think we work closely, obviously, with Assistant Superintendent Pratt, but kind of transferring over to what is also supporting all students in gen ed. We have things called like the DCAP, the District Curriculum Accommodation Plan. Those are strategies for all students. There has been some training on trauma-informed practices, but those are things we have a meeting with TLC this morning in terms of those for all students, general education. So student services really crosses over into general education as well, and making sure that we're using all of those strategies. So that's something certainly we'll continue to work on for PD and making sure we're supporting all of our staff in those practices.
And it is also actually like when you say general education, what we're seeing is from COVID, but also from the devices, is the behaviors in our classroom, our teachers are really struggling with, right? And when we're dealing with students that have access to devices all weekend, at nights, it's becoming very challenging for them to not be on devices for 7 and 8 hours in school. So it's not special education behaviors necessarily, it's just behaviors in general, and supporting students in the resilience. And, that's why we talk about trying to take some of the technology away from our younger students and get back to good old-fashioned learning in the classrooms, because we are just seeing a very different student in front of us that we need to support them and how to access their learning.
Yeah, the technology there's a real addiction piece there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially with the kids who have gone through COVID, because we were, as parents, myself, like I was relying on it.
Yeah.
And so to pull that away, I mean, I definitely see that. Which is why it's great that Lindsay has been working on the, weaning off of the Chromebooks.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then my other question, which it's kind of related to the calendar, and I don't know if I should save it for after public comment or, so we don't meet again until June 24th, correct?
Right here, yeah.
Budget sub, correct?
Yeah, I'm just like a little concerned about not having a meeting between now and then when the town council goes to vote. Just because I know like we had talked about like reallocations, which I think you were talking about with the French, right? Like that was a reallocation, right? I'm just concerned like if there's gonna be kind of like a wrap up or clarity before the town council goes to vote. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and reallocations and shifts happen all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where like we're saying is, yeah, we're trying to kind of keep people informed, but it's not a vote of the school committee. It's like we're voting on our overall budget. And we keep you informed about how we're addressing needs with resources, but that's pretty much happens all the time.
I think going back to last meeting, we vote the number, we vote money. We don't vote positions or people. I think that's what we focus on. It's great that our administration is transparent in how that's landing, but they don't have really any obligation to do that.
So if the number changes, Ashley, we would of course have to come back.
Yeah.
If the
If town council took away, we would have to.
we don't anticipate the number changing.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
At this time, I'll open it up to public comment. That's not here and I can't see that.
Not here.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anyone, no one else online either.
All right, I will take a motion to.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, everybody.